This is the 9 to 5 game review. It is a review for video games from the perspective of the 9 to 5 worker who has limited time to play and enjoy games. I've created a little spreadsheet as a tool with certain characteristics that are designed to help you understand, is a game good in a limited time period? You come home from work, you've got 2 hours, an hour, maybe longer on the weekend to play, and you're wondering not only is this game good in general, but also can this game be enjoyed from my perspective? In the 2 hours I have to play, am I going to get any fun or any value out of it? I'll go through each of the categories and assign a score. I'll explain each category as I go through them, and then I'll come away with the total score and my recommendation for whether or not I think the game is worth it for you. So for this video, it's going to be for the RPG Avowed by Obsidian. It's the same studio that made New Vegas way back in the day, although I don't know how many of those developers are still at that company. It's a classic fantasy single-player RPG. Think Skyrim, Oblivion, things like that. Currently played for 27.5 hours. I have not finished the entire campaign, but I'm pretty sure I've gotten almost at the very end. The current cost right now is $89.99 Canadian, so that is maximum AAA price for pretty much any game that you're likely to get on the market right now. Getting right into the review, time to reward. So what does this mean? When you get the game and you boot it up, how quickly are you having any fun? How many tutorials are there to go through? Are you waiting for any sort of shader compiling or something like that? So for this game, it's pretty quick. There is an intro cinematic that you, I believe, can skip if you don't have any interest in that. And then you're in the classic RPG starting sequence. You have no armor, you customize the way your character looks, and you're killing things right away. So if you are quick to get through the character customization, you're in this game, you're experiencing combat, you're doing all of the regular systems almost right away off the bat. It's not perfect. It's not like press play, start jumping, start shooting. There is a bit of preamble, but it's really, as far as RPGs go, it doesn't keep you trapped for too long of a period of time. How easy is the game to learn? How long does it take to become proficient? This is for the learning curve of the game. There are a few systems. There is a talent tree, of course, and you would have to peruse that to a certain extent to fully know what it is that you're going to be leveling up. But that's not to say that you can take advantage of the full talent tree right out the gate. So you only level up one level at a time, and your exposure to learning what those skills do is minimized, as you can just learn as you spend each of your points. You can just pick from the limited options that are available to you. As far as combat is concerned, it's very simple, very intuitive. Left click to attack. You can equip some spells if you wanted to play with a different combat style, but I wouldn't say that this game is overly complex. The enemy AI is not something like a Dark Souls or a Monster Hunter where you're learning attack patterns. Whether or not you're going to get hit is pretty obvious and straightforward, so there's a few crafting things. There's a few things that you would have to memorize with regards to, how do I progress the story? How do I progress my relationship with my companions? But this is not a game where you would say it's defined by a steep learning curve, not by any means. That being said, there are things to learn. You can cook things. You can upgrade your weapon with different materials. So it's not the simplest of games either. Session flexibility. When you play for a regular play session, how long are you trapped? Is this kind of World of Warcraft raiding? Are you stuck for 5 hours where you cannot leave? Otherwise, you'll have people sending you direct messages on Discord angrily at you. No, it's not like that at all. It's a single-player game, so you're not tied to any sort of multiplayer connection. You can pause at any time. You can quit at any time. I think the only thing that's likely to prevent you from quitting out perhaps would be enemies within your proximity for quick saving. I'm not actually sure if this game prevents you from quick saving within proximity to enemies, but it might. Many RPGs do. But other than that, take a few seconds to get to the save area, save, alt F4 the game. You're completely fine. You can load exactly where you were again. So the session flexibility is completely free. It doesn't limit you in any way. Grind and tedium. So how tedious is the game? What does the game what systems are within the game that require you to go out of your way to farm materials, to engage with systems that are outside of the regular combat loop? Think Destiny 2. Are you doing endless, tedious, monotonous things that you really don't want to do, and is that the majority of the game? Well, for this, there definitely is a certain amount of grind. So the way it works is very similar to other RPGs. You kill enemies, you get experience. You do quests, you get experience. When you get experience, you level up. You spend your perks on a talent, you get stronger. That's it. That I wouldn't consider a grind. That's just a regular part of the game. But extra to that, you have armor, you have weapons. You have resources within the game world that you use to upgrade those weapons. And it's very simple. Every weapon is upgraded with the exact same materials. if you find a spear versus a dagger versus a shield, every material you find in the game world is going to accumulate to those. They're just in tiers. So the game is broken down into acts and playable areas. Act 1, playable area 1, has material grade 1. The next act has material grade 2. And it just keeps going like that. If you play a lot within a certain act, for example, you have a level 1 sword, you have 3 twigs, and you upgrade it to a level 2 sword. Well, to get to level 3, it wants you to have 3 super twigs, and you won't find any super twigs in Act 1. Well, if you want to spend more time in Act 1 and you still want to get more powerful, there is a way for you to combine 2 regular twigs into a super twig, if you see what I'm saying. And that is a grind. You could go around looting every possible node, killing every possible enemy, collecting all of the raw materials, combining them, and upgrading like that. So there is, if you really want to maximize your player power, you will be partaking in some form of grind. Additionally, there's a lot of fetch quests, there's a lot of side quests, there's a lot of fairly uncomplicated, surface level, shallow, just kill this, get this, turn it in, XP, here you go. But there's not that much in it, and it's not something that you're forced to interact with. So I would say, as far as the grind goes, it's not that bad. Value proposition, it's honestly not great. It's the most you could spend in a game right now, really. So it's pretty much value proposition means how good for it is the money. So if it's most expensive, it's already failing on that category as much as it possibly could. So in order to redeem this in any way, you would expect extreme value for money, especially in today's game market where you can get phenomenal games at very cheap costs. So for this one, this may be the worst score that you could possibly get, and I'll tell you why. It's not to say that the game overall is bad, but I don't believe it's worthy of this price tag. I don't think that is something that has been chosen honestly based on what you're getting from the game. This is likely a purely economically driven, well, our fans will probably buy it at this price, so let's see if we can get away with it. I played all the RPGs. I played Witcher 3, I played Skyrim, I played Cyberpunk. I played a lot of the modern ones. I know what it's like to have a good quality game with a lot of content, and this doesn't really compare with any of those. You're much better off for this price getting The Witcher 3. Even Skyrim, with how dated it is, Fallout 4 maybe being a bit newer, a bit more modern. Any of the Zelda games, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. You'll get far more for those. You'll get far more polish. You'll get better systems. You'll get more fun. You'll get more content. And for most of those, you're going to get them cheaper. So for this game, I see this game, even though it's a professional studio, and I'll get into this when we talk about the core loop satisfaction, this game feels in many ways hollow. There are some things in this game that elevate the RPG formula. I like the combat. I think it's a step above the regular Oblivion Skyrim left click to attack. It's got some weight to it. It feels more fun to engage with, so that's great. That's a plus. But a lot of the things don't even respond to your presence in the world. They fixed some of this in a recent patch with regards to, you shoot an arrow, it's actually there and you can pick it up. It used to just disappear. All of the friendly NPCs, you couldn't attack them, you couldn't touch them, you just phase right through them as if they don't exist. And the game feels hollow, like you're in a simulation. Additionally, there's 3 acts, I believe, and you can rip through them. Like in this 27.5 hours, I did every quest, every side quest in the first 2 acts fully, and I'm halfway through the 3rd act, which I believe is the final one. And so, 27.5 hours, that kind of time being put into a game, you're just scratching the surface in a game like The Witcher or a game like Skyrim. But for this game, I'm pretty much at the end, which is why I decided to give up. My weapons are already the strongest level. I'm already killing all the combat encounters, even on a hard difficulty with ease. So that's it. I see that as just before the end. So the total depth of gameplay there is quite limited. It's not to say, again, that it's a bad game. It's just there's not much there. There's definitely many shortcomings that other RPGs do much better than this at, and they're not doing themselves any favors by charging you, 90 Canadian dollars for this. Unbelievable. That's like one trip to the grocery store for me. For, a single container of chicken breast is what that's going to cost me, so. And I'd rather the chicken in this circumstance. Memory burden. How easy is it to remember what you're doing? So what this means is, and why the score is here, is to say, you play the game for 10 hours, for whatever reason, you have to engage in your real-life activities, and you can only play it again 3 weeks later. When you now boot up the game, having not played for 3 weeks, is there any hope that you remember what you're doing to the extent that you can now play without spending hours of research to figure out? Well, this game suffers from what all RPGs suffer from, which is it's the RPG effect. I've drawn here an X and a Y axis. So effectively, on one axis, you have time since last played. Like I said, you put it down for 2 weeks and then you pick it back up. And then on this axis, you have chance that you are going to have enough of an idea of what you are doing such that you are likely willing to continue playing the same character with limited time spent researching where you were in the game and what you were doing. And let's just reduce this font size. And so effectively, the longer it's been since you've last played it, the more time it takes you to understand what the hell you're doing. And there's a breaking point where this essentially scales immediately to infinity because you're just not going to spend the time doing it. This is very typical. Imagine in Skyrim, and this is an example I use a lot. You're level 72. Your single save file has 110 hours. You have 55 active quests. You're in the middle of one of the DLCs. You have 1,000 pounds of loot in your inventory. You're over encumbered. You can't move. You're in a dungeon. You can't fast travel. You have one quest active of your 55, and you're trying to figure out, what was I even doing on this character? Where do I go? What possible hope do I have of understanding what I'm doing? It's going to take you 2.5 hours just for you to have a vague semblance of, oh yeah, that's what I was doing. And 2.5 hours is the full amount of time you have allotted to play any game. So what you're likely to do, you have one of two choices. You give up entirely on that character and you make a new one from scratch because you really want to play the RPG, but you're not going to figure out what you were doing. So you're just going to start from scratch, give yourself a fresh slate. Or you're just going to say, nah, I'm not willing to do this. I'm going to go play a game that respects my time more and pick it up quicker. So this is the classic RPG fallacy where you really got to finish this. Go beginning to end, because if you wait, like the amount of time that I played, that it's been since I played Avowed now, I have no hope of finishing the game anymore. Not on that character. It's been too long. I just don't know what the hell's going on. So this is classic, and it's not that this is the only game where this problem exists. This is Skyrim, Witcher, anything where a single character can survive for hundreds of hours of a save file. You really, the longer you wait, if you drop that game and pick it back up, God help you remembering. And the more complicated systems there are, the harder this is. Now, for this game, the systems are very simple, and there are linear acts. So this game does not suffer nearly as much as Skyrim or something else. It's also a shorter game. So the amount of exposure you have to the lifespan of your character, it's lower. So I'm not going to give this one a terrible score, but the memory burden does exist. Core loop satisfaction. So you're in the game, you know what you're doing, you're actually getting to the part where it's fun. You're not just walking between quest and quest giver, which is totally in this game, and that's very boring. Is the game fun? Yeah, I think it's pretty fun. It's more fun in the beginning when you still have the hope and optimism that the game will get better over time. But as you explore the systems, as you realize that the upgrade tree is just a linear tree for every single weapon, there's no excitement, there's no variety, there's no enchantment or modification, or there's really no depth to the scaling of the character. There's your single talent tree, your single upgrade tree for all your weapons. Once you get over that hump of discovery and you realize that there's nothing new for you anymore, the game gets immediately boring. And that's where I more or less. I actually persisted a bit after that and kept playing anyway. But in your first 10 hours, you're going to have a decent bit of fun, especially if you like RPGs. It is a different take on how the combat is done. So play around with the bows, the guns, the spells, the weapons. There's definitely fun to be had there. There's really, for this game, if you told me an indie studio made this and they were charging $30 for it, I'd say, wow, well done. But this is, more or less a AAA studio charging you $90 for it, like the value proposition shows. I just can't get behind it. So I think that this game is meh. Looking back at it, there were things I enjoyed, there were things I didn't like. It's trying to dip its toes into the BioWare, the old BioWare, the Mass Effect, Dragon Age, Expedition 33 nowadays, Baldur's Gate. It's trying to dip into that depth and complexity with story, and it just doesn't succeed in that. It gives you choices that are supposed to have weight, but the world feels so hollow and the characters so limited, and in depth and so inhuman that you don't really feel the weight anyway. I found that every story I had, every conversation I had in my camp, where you're supposed to progress the dialogues of your companions, it seemed as if all of the characters were coded to respond the exact same way to every single answer you gave. The first guy you get, the kind of lizard-looking guy, every answer I ever gave, he responded the exact same way. It would always be this neutral, well, that's what they say. Well, that's what they say. Like every single time, there was no right or wrong answer for him. He was just like, well, some people think that way. Yeah, I could see that, but there's no real right answer there. It's like no matter what I said, even if I said kill every child in that camp, put their corpses on pikes, and then start lighting all the cities on fire, he'd say, well, I could see why you would pick that. Nowadays, the world's a really ruthless place. You got to do what you got to do to survive. And it's just like, well, why am I picking anything? It doesn't, it seems to matter, but I'm not getting anything out of these characters. So there was no real consequence. If you're going to bother designing a system where it seems like there's going to be consequence, then you have to deliver some consequences. But there weren't any. So I thought, what was the point in even allowing me to engage in conversations that seemed controversial when there was really no controversy? So yeah, half-baked is a good way to describe this game. They set up an okay world, they set up some okay systems, some okay customization, and some okay conversations. And that's pretty much as far as they took any of it. And then combine that with limited content and an expensive price point, and you're left with an overall not great product. Now, as far as the 9-to-5 gamer is concerned, again, this is not a review for the entire quality of the game. It's a review for you have limited time to play. Are you going to enjoy this? I think you will for maybe 10 to 15 hours. Because it's single player, you can pause at any time. If you have to leave, it's not going to hold anything against you. There's not cutscenes that you can't skip for the most part. It's pretty quick and seamless to get in and out. That's good. And then there are some decent bits of fun, but you have to ask yourself that too. It is only a limited experience, and it's incredibly expensive. So, depending on how much money you're willing to throw away on the game, I don't know if I would go with this one. So, for the Jude points, which are my little flex points to just assign half a point if I think the game is exceptional for any reason beyond these criteria, I'm not really going to assign anything for this. Yeah, there was nothing that I was doing in this game that made me think, wow, this is an exceptional, unique game. And so adding it now to the list of all scores, Avowed. Let's see here. What did I score it overall? 4, 4, 5, 4, 1, 3, 3. 4. Oh, 4. Hello? Number. 4. All right, I'm not going to use the number pad. 4, 4, 5, 4, 1, 3, 3 gives it a total score of 3.6. Now sorting. Oh, Z to A. Where is it now? 3.6. Is it better than any of these games? For the 9-to-5 gamer. It's definitely better than Assassin's Creed Shadow, but I'd have to go back and look at these ones. I think the thing that's making it better is it's got no learning curve, and it's completely flexible, and it's quick to get in and out of. But it does pain me to see this technically rated higher than any of these games, because I don't know if I agree with that. Anyway, make up your own opinion based on what you've heard here, and if you like this kind of format of review, maybe check out some of my other videos.